Welcome back to another edition of Ask Michelle Anything. I'm Michelle, your resident co parenting and divorce expert. I'm an educator, an author, and I'm always talking about all things divorce and co parenting. And I'm glad that you're sending in your questions so that I can answer them more thoughtfully. Please know that this is not to be taken in the place of legal advice, and this is my general advice and guidance based on the very little information I have about you. But this parent sent in a question saying, my daughter cries when it's his parenting time, her ex's parenting time. What can I do? Well, first and foremost, I feel for you because there is nothing harder than having to separate from your child when they are upset. I think back to my early co parenting days when this was a big reality for my child who was very young and didn't understand what was going on, or even when she started preschool and being dropped off somewhere new and seeing me walk away triggered these feelings of distress. And you walk away feeling like this horrible parent. But I want to make something clear to you, and again, I know nothing about your situation, and I could stand to know more before I answer this. But speaking in generalities, a child who gets worked up and doesn't want to go to the other parent's home is usually a child who is fearful of the exchange, not necessarily the experience in the other parent's home. I remember, when my daughter started preschool, like I said, she would be a mess when I dropped her off, and I'd get a picture 20 minutes later and she was fine and she was playing and she was happy. It was more the experience of having to go, having to be left, having to face those feelings of saying goodbye that were really scary to her. So I started to realize very quickly that I had to change my routine in taking her to school. Just like when she started having these feelings of separation anxiety when she was leaving to go to her dad's house, we had to change how we handled the routine to minimize the stress on her. 9 times out of 10, when people come to me with this situation, it's usually because the children have experienced either some tension or some scary energy around the co-parenting exchanges. Maybe you're dealing with somebody who tries to have a stern conversation with you, or even may start a fight during this time, or the transition is being done at a time that just doesn't work for the child. Maybe the child has already been home in your house and has gotten comfortable and doesn't frankly want to have to get back in the car and go somewhere. That in itself can trigger feelings of anxiety and start a meltdown. So what's really helpful is to understand your child. When you have to take them somewhere else, or when they are being picked up to go somewhere else, where do the feelings come up more? For many young kids, it can feel empowering to be taken somewhere versus a little disempowering to be picked up and taken away. That was a big change I had to make in my own situation. Instead of my daughter's father coming to get her, we realized she did a lot better when I created this fun routine about getting in the car, going to his house. We made it a whole thing. And then she felt more empowered because it didn't feel like she was being removed from my home. The other part of this is, what time of day? Is your child already exhausted? Are they cranky? Are they hungry? There are so many factors that can make these little transitions so much harder that we as adults may take for granted. But I always tell people to think about, when they are traveling and they are away from home and they have to come back, and the whole act of a stressful travel day makes you come back feeling just like a mess and nobody's happy. So we want to simplify this as much as possible. Of course, if you suspect that something bad is happening in the other home, please trust your intuition and speak to an attorney. But if it's more just around the act of separation, I encourage you to look at my workbook and course on this topic. I have a lot of information on how to make this process easier on you and your kids so all goes a lot more smoothly. Always, if your child is school aged and the transitions can be done at school, that's usually a lot easier. And how you speak to your children when they tell you that they don't want to go to the other parent's house really, really matters. If they're crying to you and they say, but mommy, I don't want to go. I don't want to have to go. I don't want to leave you. And you say something like, oh, I know. It's so sad. I'm going to miss you. I don't want you to leave either, which is obviously how you feel. That reinforces to them that leaving means something bad for you. And kids want to make us happy. They want to please us. So if they feel like they're doing something wrong by going, they're less likely going to be excited to go. Another thing I learned through a co parenting therapist that I worked with for a while is telling our children how much we're going to miss them when they're gone doesn't help the situation either. You want to make them feel empowered. I know you're going to miss me. I miss you all the time, but when I miss you, I think about how much I love you and I get excited to see you again. I'm going to be okay when you're not here. And I know you can find ways to be okay in the other house. What are some things you like to do there? What are some things that make you happy? And if you keep focusing on the positive of this, they're going to be a lot more relaxed in the act of transitioning. They won't feel like they're abandoning you or that your feelings are going to be hurt. And they could focus on the positive things they have to look forward to in the other home. If you have a relationship with your ex in which you can both get on the same page about all of this, that's a huge bonus. But again, if you have to manage it on your own, take control of it. Do what you can to make this child feel comfortable both about leaving and coming back to you. If you need more help with it, like I said, check out my website, michelledempsey.com. I have workbooks and courses on this exact topic. And you can always reach out to me directly if you'd like to work one on one for more support. Info@momsmovingon.com. Thanks so much for sending in your question. It was an important one. And we'll see you next time on Ask Michelle Anything. If you're getting divorced, thinking about getting divorced, or just trying to figure out how in the world to co parent with someone who makes your life miserable, you've come to the right place. I'm Michelle Dempsey-Multack, and I have years of experience working with divorcing and co-parenting clients as a certified divorce and co-parenting specialist, educator, best-selling author, podcaster, all of those things. And I have worked with hundreds of people who are just trying to figure out a way to give their children a life that they won't have to recover from now that there was a divorce. What does this mean for you? This means there are so many ways that you can access my many, many guides, workbooks, courses, work with me one-on-one. Just by visiting michelledempsey.com, you can check out our wealth of resources. I have courses and workbooks on everything from how to handle difficult transition days with your kids, how to understand a parenting plan and make sure that it's written in the best interest of your children, how to talk to kids about divorce at all ages, how to set boundaries with somebody, and more. You can even learn how to protect your relationship when you are dealing with someone who is attempting alienation or just making life really, really hard. This is all available to you on my website, michelledempsey.com. And if you have questions about any of it, you can reach me at info@momsmovingon.com.